Cool. So it's recording now, guys, just so you know. So obviously today we're talking about what's the ones that's like Tone My Blonde. So it's all on toning. And I think it's important to cover some a little bit of hair science and how and why we lighten hair and how it lightens to get to our toners. So we'll cover what happens to the hair during the lightening process, the benefits of using H bleach, how hydrogen peroxide assists in the lightening process, which I think is important when you're using a non-ammonia cream lightener like we've got. Hydrogen peroxide, or our developer, is really important in helping us achieve the blondes that we're after. The importance of lifting to the correct level when we're lightening, diagnosing your lifted level so we can choose the correct toner, choosing the correct product to tone with, obviously because we have a few different ones that we can choose, choosing the right developer to go with that toner, application processing times, and that affects our longevity. So that's really important that we talk about that. And then obviously some aftercare and home care recommendations and mixes we can do. I'm pretty sure with the skill set level that we've got in the room today that we're all aware of what happens when we actually lighten blonde hair, what the chemical process is. But just to give you a little bit of a rundown in case you've forgotten. So unlike traditional colors where we're depositing pigment, obviously we're doing the exact opposite and we're actually removing that out of the hair. So when we're putting a bleach, our cream bleach and our hydrogen peroxide together, and we put it on the hair, that creates an alkaline agent, okay? So what we're basically doing is we're slowly, softly opening the cuticles to allow the formula in to actually dissolve the color pigment, whether it be artificial or natural. That's what we're doing. We're actually fading and dissolving that color pigment. Whereas when you look at the different colors and different types of hair, you have your two different pigments, your eumelanin and your phenolanin. Obviously, your darker pigments come out of the hair a lot easier. And then as the hair gets lighter, you go past the red, the orange, you get into your yellow, and obviously they're the hardest ones to actually remove. So during the lightening process, when we want to take someone who is a level 5, so like Yasmin, when you want to put blonde in your hair, it obviously could take a lot longer than someone who has really, really fine blonde hair to lighten them up as well. I'm imagining how long it takes for you to get your hair that blonde, actually, probably a while. And so the other thing that's really important that we do is we really analyze the hair that we're looking at before we start a bleaching process, just to see what the previous color history is, to see what the hair's texture's like, any other characteristics we've got, elasticity, porosity, all that sort of thing comes into play. I'm just going to let Rose in. When we're diagnosing the hair for that lightening procedure. Hi, Rose.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Sorry, I'm late.
No, that's all right. We've only just started, so we are recording, just so you know.
Okay, cool.
And I've just gone over, I might just get you to put your microphone on mute though, Rose, because I'm hearing myself.
Sounds good. If I can figure out.
That you've done it, great. So we've just gone over basically the opposite of colouring hair during the bleaching process. We're actually dissolving that colour molecule to go lighter. So we've just covered a really basic bit of colour science there with that. Obviously in Salon we have H bleach to do our lightening with. The benefits, I want to go over the benefits of using H bleach. What we need to do as hairstylists though is really determine during a consultation is what our target result is going to be. So where we're coming from and where we need to go. Obviously bleaching the hair increases the porosity and can also muck up the elasticity of the hair, and we don't want to ever over bleach anyone's hair because that can cause structural breaking down of the hair. So then we have our product, which is H bleach, and the benefits of using H bleach over a traditional ammonia bleach or an aggressive product. So obviously we all use H bleach in the salon. We all love using H bleach, enjoy the results we get from it, which is good. Rose is nodding now, that's good. So obviously we have our cream lightener, which is it offers a real gentle lightening action as opposed to a traditional powdered aggressive bleach. We have a couple of main ingredients in it, which I'll touch on. The first one is kukui butter. Why that is really good is it's full of fatty acids. So what they're going to do is during the processing of the color, they help keep the hair hydrated. It also has a lot of vitamin A, C, and E. Now they're antioxidants and they reduce oxidative stress put on the hair. So it's a really important element to have in our H bleach, which is the butter. And that's what also gives us that really nice consistency of the product. So you're not getting any like powdered debris flying around, which you can actually breathe in as well, which is not good for you. When we have lavender oil. So lavender oil, when I was a kid growing up, my mum used to make these lavender sachet things. And we had lavender drying all around the house as a kid growing up. I used to walk out, I hated it. It was like the smell of lavender gave me the worst headache. It's because as a child, I grew up with having it all the time. So I had this real negative thing towards lavender. Whenever I smelled lavender, I just thought of like old people or people that, you know, needed that. So, but lavender oil, funnily enough, is actually really, really good for us, which is why mum used to make those things. So it obviously offers relaxing and calming and soothing properties. So it's really important for the scalp that in our bleaching product, we've got something that can actually treat the scalp while we're lifting as well. So it's awesome for on-scalp application, having that lavender oil in there. We have date oil as well, which is a nourishing properties in that. So that keeps the hair fiber hydrated and also keeps the elasticity in the hair, which is really, really good while the color's developing. And perilla oil. So another one, he works a little bit like lavender oil when we've got the soothing of the scalp. And he has a lot of fatty acids as well, which helps nourishing the hair and helps to stop those free radicals, which is really good. Does anybody know what a flavonoid is? No? Okay, I can't see Nathan. I couldn't see you if you were nodding or shaking. Do you know what a flavonoid is? No? Okay. So a flavonoid, they're part of a plant or a fruit, right? So they're a phytonutrient. So it's pretty much found in every plant or fruit extract when it's brought out of that plant. They're responsible or partly responsible for that plant or fruit to have a vivid, bright colors as well. What they do though is they're really, really, really high. Hi Phoebe, how are you? They're really high. We're just going over a bit of ingredients in H bleach at the moment, just to bring you up to speed.
Thank you. Hi.
Hey. So a flavonoid is really, really, really high in antioxidants. So the perilla oil that's actually in our H bleach is one plant extract that is extremely high in flavonoids. So by choosing that as one of our active ingredients, we're actually maximizing the amount of antioxidant action we're giving in the bleach while it processes on the client's hair, which is pretty cool that we've got that ingredient in there. So a flavonoid is very important because it helps reconstruct the hair and work as an antioxidant. And so all those products together in our H bleach all work in synergy, which is why it's really important to give a little bag of massage just before we go to use it. Just for about 3 seconds to make sure all those oils and butters are all mixed together. Another thing with the H bleach, it's really important that it is always mixed 1 to 2. So 1 part H bleach to 2 parts developer. This is because we need that hydrogen peroxide or the oxygen in that cream bleach because that gives us our lifting action. If we dilute that and say, for example, we're there and we're like, you know what, the bleach is a little bit runny for me and I want to thicken it up. So I might just add a little bit more H bleach. What we're doing is we're mixing down the amount of oxygen or diluting the amount of oxygen that's in that product. Therefore, it's going to take a lot longer for your processing to come up and you'll get a lot less levels of lift out of the H bleach. And we already know that it is a slightly slower process anyway. So if anything, we want it quicker, not slower. So the best way to thicken up H bleach, if you want to, and I think we talked about this the other day, or I did mention it to someone the other day, is to use the most natural way. The most natural thickener that is available in the world is corn flour. Okay. So if you want to thicken something, it's very safe to use corn flour. It doesn't affect the results of the H bleach. Just be careful how much you put in the bowl though when you go to do it. So if anything, you just want to sprinkle a little bit over the top like you're icing a muffin, mix it in. If it's not thick enough, you do a little bit more of that, mix it in until you get the consistency you like. If you put a teaspoon in and mix it, it's going to turn to like Play-Doh, and then you won't be able to use it at all, and then you're just wasting your money there. So a really good way to thicken that up if you're doing freehand. I find the consistency is actually really good, and I don't really need to do it. But if you want to thicken it, just use corn flour. If we were going to package one, we'd basically be using corn flour anyway. So, but always keep your oxygen level 1 to 2, 2 parts developer to 1 part H bleach. So hydrogen peroxide and the benefits of choosing the right one. So what is hydrogen peroxide? Does anyone know what hydrogen peroxide is? Pretty much. Yeah, I'm going to tell you anyway because it's in my notes, and if I don't read them, it's going to muck me up. But hydrogen peroxide basically, or H2O2, it's basically oxygen, and it's got one chemical molecule that's changed. Okay, so it's got two hydrogen atoms and 2 oxygen atoms that make hydrogen peroxide. So traditional uses for hydrogen peroxide is, I know when I was growing up, we had it put on our skin if we cut ourselves, and it sizzles and it stings. Okay, so it's used as an antiseptic as well. We, as hairdressing professionals, obviously don't use it as an antiseptic. We use it in our developer. So what it does in our developer is it helps us give our lift, okay, and develops our color. So when you look at the pouch of developer that we've got, you've got your H tone, and it will have a 2.7%. Then obviously our 20 vial has a 6%, 30 vial has a 9%, 40 vial has 12%. What that's telling you is the percentage of hydrogen peroxide, or H2O2, that's in that bag, okay? So 2.7% means that whole bag of H-tone has 2.7% of that is hydrogen peroxide, and the rest is made up of whatever else is in it, okay? So 9%, 12%, 12% hydrogen peroxide. So you're dealing, or you're able to control how much lift or how much speed you've got with that color. So the rest of the pouch, obviously we know, is made up of some really beautiful, nourishing products. We have your date and Pirelli, as we've talked about before. So we know that they're full of flavonoids and antioxidants. We have hibiscus extract. We also have cotton proteins, and we've got lippy butter. So the reason why our developer is actually in a pouch is because we need to be able to extract that product out of the pouch. And if it was in a container, it would get stuck, or a bottle, we wouldn't be able to get it all out. So it's a nice, rich, creamy developer mixed in with our H bleach, then pretty much becomes a treatment. It's really cool. We do a little activity when we do our face-to-face courses with, and you probably, Nathaniel, might have done this in Full Circle, I'm not sure, but where we have 4 glasses of water and we get an oxygen tablet. Now, they're basically denture cleaning tablets, but that is just hydrogen peroxide. When you add the hydrogen peroxide tablet to that water, you get an action, you get a fizzing action. So what we do is we have one tablet for 1 glass, we have 2 tablets for 2 glasses, 3 for another one, and 4 for another one. So we're basically giving you the family of 10 vial, 20 vial, 30 vial, and 40 vial. Now we put all those tablets in those glasses of water all at the same time, and obviously it creates a reaction. You get a fizzing action. So you can imagine putting 1 tablet in, it's going to be a nice slow fizzing action. Putting 2 in, it's going to be a little bit quicker. Putting 3 in, it's going to be a lot quicker. And then adding 4 into that glass of water, it's going to be a lot more action going on. The funny thing is that they all pretty much stop processing at the same time. Like, they all slow down at the same time, but that action created in that glass of water, the more tablets you put in, or the higher developer you use, the more action you get, okay? The more fizzing, the more lifting action. That's how we relate it to what we're talking about. So when you're wanting to, like I said, they all do slow down together. So they're all like finish processing. The other thing we've got to remember, though, using a developer with H bleach or a bleaching action over a permanent color, is a permanent color will potentially stop oxidizing or processing at a certain time. H bleach will slow down after 50, 55 minutes, but it still will process, okay? Because that fizzing action slows down, but it doesn't go away, okay? So we're still going to get some processing of that color. So it's really important that as hairdressers that we know when to rinse that color off, okay? And not just leave it on for like an hour because we think we can. We've got to watch it when we do it. So the darker the hair, I always work in the higher the volume I'm going to need to use to remove that color. The lighter the hair, the lower the developer I'll need. Okay, so Jasmine, with your color, if I was doing foils in it and I went in with H-tone, I'm going to be there all week, like waiting for your hair to come up, okay, because it's really dark. So I would go in with a higher developer. When you do choose a higher developer though, just be careful of what you put it on, okay? So if you're lifting up a 5 and you want a 9-10 result and you use 40 vol with H bleach, you need to apply it to that level 5, not run it down over pre-existing blonde, okay? If you want to clean out blonde, you would need to use a lesser developer. So to just bear in mind your application with that one. So I think the importance of when we're lifting hair, we need to also think that, you know, when a client has shown us a photo of what they want to achieve in their blondes and what they want to get to, we need to know what level to lift that client to choose the appropriate toner or gloss to then use as well. So when we're lifting up to that right level, we really need to know what undercoats we're going through. So obviously the darker the hair, the higher the vol and the longer the product's going to need to be on, or just as much time as what lighter hair would be with a lesser vol to get to that right level. If we lifted the hair to say like a level 9 and it had yellow in it, and the picture that they showed us was a really cool ashy creamy blonde, and we're going to have to go in with a level 9-10 ash toner, we're not really going to give them that result that they're after because we're going to darken the hair too much, okay? So it's really important that when we've done our hair analysis and we've chosen to use H bleach as our lightening actor product, we match the right vol with it to get us to that lift in that right amount of time. Does that make sense? Cool. I think with traditional aggressive powder bleaches, we were always told don't use any more than 20 vol. You know, it's going to get you there. It's because we've got all that higher ammonia action going in there with H bleach and our developers. We've already got a treatment developer. We've got all the oils in it. We talked about H milk and how H milk, the components of H milk is actually in our developer as well. So it's like a treatment. We're already getting a slower action of lightening. We don't want to slow it down anymore. So that's why I find it fine. It's definitely fine to lift your bowl up when you want to lift up darker bases. Do most of you guys agree with that? You use higher vols when you're lifting? Yep. And find the conditions beautiful? Yeah, that's good. I know when a lot of people first start using Oway, they find it weird when I tell them to use H bleach and 40. It's okay. H bleach and 30 is okay on the scalp as well. I use that all the time. It's awesome. So when we've lifted it to that level, obviously we need to choose the right toner, corrective toner to use. So that's another reason why we need to lift to the right level before we can actually choose the correct toner. We need to make sure that we're going to give that client the correct result that they've shown us. And it's okay to say to them, you know what, you're not going to get this in one go too. You know, we're allowed to say no, or look at the hair and think, okay, is the hair able to take the bleaching process that they need to get it or not? But if they're wanting, like I said, a really nice light, ashy, creamy blonde, you've got to get it light to start with. Okay, so it's really important to know that we've got to get to that lift before we can actually choose our right toner. I get asked a lot, how do I make a nice creamy ash blonde? Well, creamy ash blonde to me didn't exist until I started as an educator, and then I'm thinking, okay, how do I make a creamy ash blonde? But to make the right toner, I never know what I'm going to use as a toner until I actually lift the hair. So I know a lot of people when they're doing getting a blonde go, okay, well, I want to make a just a neutral level 10 toner, so I'm going to use this. But you don't know what you're going to use until you've actually finished the lightening process and you've rinsed it off, and then the hair will tell you what you need to use to get to a neutral result. So I don't really think that you need to be bogged down in what toner am I going to use. You just need to know what you want to get. And then that process will show you how much lightening you need to do to get to that process. And if you haven't done it today, it might take 2 goes to get it there, depending on whether the client's got artificial color in their hair or whether they're really, really dark and they need a double process to get there. So I think it's important to look at that when you're choosing your end toner result, and don't over promise and under deliver. It's better to do it the other way around as well. when we look at the Oway color charts compared to a lot of other color charts, a lot of other companies have like a toning section where they'll show you like, this is what we can tone with. We don't really have that. We've got 11.17, 10.1, 9.31, 10.3, and I get a lot of questions saying, well, look, what do I tone with and what do I use? There is so many toners that you can make with the colors. And using 0.0, I found is a bit of a key player for me. So what I do is when I'm choosing a toner or the product to tone with, I always look at these elements of things that will determine my choice on that. So the longevity of the toner wanted, whether I want a temporary result. If I lifted someone up to a really nice blonde and they wanted like a pastel pink but wanted to wash out, I would stay away from H tone. I would stay away from H nectar, and I would probably go in with my H milk and my H milk drops instead, because that's what's going to give us a pastel color toner. Did all you guys get this little chart sheet sent out to you as well as a guide? No, yes, no, okay. So I'll make a note to re-email that out. What I did is I went through and I made some really nice toners with H milk and H milk drops. So from pastel pinks, rose golds, through to torpy mushrooms and some cool salmons. And they're all swatched, just so you know, they're all swatched on level 10 swatches. Obviously, if you're wanting to make a pale pink and you're putting it over hair that has a little bit of pale yellow in it, and you're toning that way, pink is a very and then you'll get more of a salmon result when you do that. Pink is a diluted version of red, and red and yellow make orange. Okay, so we've always got to remember when we're toning with these temporary colors, what we're putting it on. So when you're making these pastel results, always make sure that the hair is as clean as you can get it. So like Phoebe, if you wanted to go like a really nice, what could we send you? Like a cool salmon, okay? It's going to go better if your canvas is cleaner. So your hair would be perfect for that. So I'll send these out. I'll send them out as a link and then you can download it. This is just a guide, okay? And they're pastel results. So I've diluted the amount of H milk drops compared to what's on your H milk color, little color charts. And if you want a stronger result from that, you just add more drops, but just make sure that your mixing ratio of H milk has doubled as well, obviously, because, it doesn't double. You just use the same amount and then just increase the amount of drops, but keep them on the same ratio. And that'll make the color darker. So if I wanted a color that was going to be more of a longer lasting color, I would choose H color as my toner. H nectar is really beautiful to tone with as well. You do get longevity out of H nectar. The beautiful advantage to using H nectar sometimes is if the hair is really compromised. So if you had a client come to you that had really distressed, torched hair or something, and you've done another set of foils, even though the color you're doing is better and you're building it up, you could do a H milk treatment in between and then go in with your H nectar as your toner. Your H nectars sit on a level 10 and sometimes a little bit under that, like a 10.21 or a 10.1 can go a little bit darker. The advantages with H color is we have 0.0, so we can get a little bit more pastel results. The only way that you'll dilute a H nectar toner so it's a little bit more pastel is if you use a bit more developer with it, which you can do. But I think sometimes when you do that, you can muck up the longevity of your toner time-wise with that as well, because you're taking out too much pigment. It'll soften it, but you're also not developing as much pigment in the hair. So that's when I would determine what product do I use? What am I toning with? Do I want pastel? Do I want temporary? Do I want a longer toning result? But the H nectar is amazing as a treatment. It has a lot of natural sugars in it. So that acts as a replumping and a repairing agent for the hair. It's really beautiful. But I do find that H color will give me my strongest lasting toner. We all know that toning over hair, we have limited shampoos. I always work on the proviso that 1 minute of processing equals about 1 shampoo. So if you can leave your toners on for as long as you can is awesome. then it's really important that you choose the correct toner as well, because if you've only got a little bit of pale yellow in the hair and you go in with 10.1, in about 5 minutes, it's going to really start to tone quite a lot. So then you're probably going to have to remove it because that client showed you a picture that was a little bit less ash and more neutral. So that's when I would look at it and go, okay, well, what am I actually toning out? Do I need an ash violet instead of just an ash? Do I need to do it on a level 12 or a level 11 instead of a level 10 because I only want a pastel result? That way, when the pigment develops, it can be on longer. You'll get the longevity out of your color, but you won't be overtoning the client's hair and having to remove that toner quicker. So once the hair's towel dried, really look at that, look at the hair, look at the level, look at the tone you want to get rid of, and then go in with your target chart. I also did this little one up as well. Did you guys get that one? Toning with Oway? Come on, one of you must have got it. Or went out. No, okay. They were sent out as an EDM. So we sent them out to everybody. So I'll have another look and resend these. These are great. So on the back of it, I've done toning mixes with your 4.5 and your 3 vol, like how to mix them and what they're used for. I've also done a chart on here and I've broken down every single family. Well, I'll go through them in a minute with you. So we've got neutrals, ashes, ash violets, beige, ash beige violet, and violet ash. And done the mixing ratios for them on levels, say as low as 7, right through to level 11 to get your pastel toners. So Rose, if you were looking at me and you said, okay, I want to do an ash violet, but I only want to do it on a level, like a level 12 ash violet. How do I get that? And so you find down your level 12 ash violet and it'll tell you to use half 0.0 and half 11.17. So that 0.0 is diluting your level 17 to a level 12. So it's giving you a really pastel result. Nathaniel, if you said I want to make a violet ash on a level 10 because I want to get rid of some ash, but I also want to add a bit of violet, we don't have a level 10.7. We don't make it. So how am I going to do that? So you go down to the ash violet section, you read along, and it says to use a quarter 9.0, 1/4 0.0, and then half 11.17. Okay, so that's going to make a violet ash. So the warmth in the 9.0 is going to counteract the ash, but by mixing it with 0.0, you get a 10.0. So you've already got a cream result. You're mixing it half with 11.17. That cream is going to dilute the ash compound in that. Your 7 is going to be your predominant tone. So therefore, you're going to get a violet ash toner. Okay, I have tested these. It's taken me a long time and they work really, really well. So for those who are really good with the color system and can get their head around it, you'll have no problem. Others, I think, refer to this chart. I still do. And I think, oh yeah, that's the one I want again. And I mix him up. By choosing the correct toner, you can leave it on for the right amount of time. And that's when it's going to give you longevity. Then on the back, I got really creative and I made some really nice pastel colors through here as well. So if you want to do a dusky pink, you would use 11.17 and 1 gram of your 0.6 together. So the violet in 11.17 takes that red out of the pink and it gives you more of a dusky color. So I've done honey gold, champagne through to soft apricot. So these are all fashion tones and they're obviously best done on clean blonde hair. So if you want a pink, make sure it's a level 10 clean, no yellow in it, or else you're going to get a salmon result. And then I've even done a conversion chart at the back because I work in fractions, because most of the colors are done in fractions, not grams. So if you are, you don't know an eighth of, and I don't know this off my head either, if you don't know like an eighth of 90 grams, I've actually got a little chart here that will tell you, you just find your grams and you go along to your fractions and it will tell you what to use. So if you're doing a quarter, a half and 2/8 and you're doing 60 grams mixed, it'll tell you 30 grams is half, a quarter is 15 and an eighth is 7.5. Well, you can round it up to 8 or 7. You don't have to put the 0.5 in, but it just takes the guesswork out of it because otherwise you're never going to mix them up. If you have to do an eighth of something and a quarter of something else, it's going to be too hard if you're in a rush to do that. So and like we said, we always want to leave our toners on for as long as we can. So a really good way to do that is if you want to speed it up, is to put some hypercolor into your toning mix. Okay, so mixing in with your color first, then add your developer, mix all three together, put a warm towel over the head of the basin, and pretty much 10 minutes under a warm towel is going to give you about a 20-minute processing time with your toners. So that's a really good, fast way to increase your longevity with less time. So using the correct developer. Who uses just H-tone to tone with? No one? That's cool. Because it did happen for a long time, because the packet said the pouch says H-tone, so everyone was toning with H-tone. So we all know if we tone with H-tone, we're going to get root lift, yeah? Get root bump. So over highlights and balayage, we'll always tone with 3 vol. They say that under 7 vol, you're not going to get any root lift at all, but I found that toning with half H milk and half H tone, which makes a 4.5 vol or will act like a 5 vol, to me that creates more of a like a semi-permanent color, like in between a demi and semi. What that tells me is that the cuticle does open. Okay, if the cuticle doesn't open at all, hardly, then you're not really going to get any longevity out of the color, just more of a temporary result. So I find that if there's any hair present whatsoever, I always use a 3 vol, because I think on fine hair that's a level 7 up, half H milk and half H tone may give you a little bit of warm pigment. And on a level 7, obviously you've done a beautiful cream blonde and it's really easy to get there. You don't want the roots to have any warmth in them at all. So always drop to 3 vol when you're toning. So the mix for 3 vol is obviously 2/3 H milk and 1/3 developer. So we're lucky that we've got H milk in a way to dilute our 9 vol to get these toners. We don't make them. Obviously, if we made them, there's another 4 or 5 pouches sitting there that don't get used as much. So it's really good we've got a tool like H milk that is a treatment, a standalone treatment. It can make colored conditioners. It's used in between colors as a protein filler as well. And then we also use that to dilute our developers with. So we're actually putting all the benefits and all the ingredients, which is date oil, perilla oil, cotton protein, wheat protein, and jojoba oil that's in our H milk. We're mixing that in with our developer, which already has 50% of those ingredients anyway. So indirectly, you're making a treatment. Okay, so every client that has an Oway toner using 3 vol or 4.5 vol pretty much gets a treatment. So when I do use 4.5 vol for toning is when I've done, say, like a full head lighten and I'm doing like a global tone. Then I would go in with my 4.5 vol. You could go in with H-tone as well. I'm not saying don't. H-tone is also going to be a little bit more aggressive in the way that it's probably going to lift a little bit before it tones. So if you've got something you want to cut out of the hair a little bit, extra tone, you could do it. But I find by adding the H milk into our H-tone and making the 4.5 vol, you're putting a lot of really beautiful ingredients in, like your lavender oil and everything, to help the scalp as well. So they've just had a full head bleach and therefore they get a bit of a scalp treatment as well. So, and then my 3 vol keep to balayage, highlights, anything with natural hair present. Leave it on for 5 to 10 minutes. The longer you can, the better. You can also, so basically what H milk is doing, getting back to the percentages of oxygen, it's just diluting the amount of oxygen that's in that pouch. Okay, so we're just making our lower percentages with H milk. You can also add 3 to 5 mils of H milk with every 25 gram mix of H bleach. So that then it's 50 grams of developer. So knowing that we've got all that really nice ingredients and nourishing ingredients in our H milk, by adding that to our H bleach as a service, you're also protecting the hair during the lightening process a little bit more as well. I wouldn't add any more than that though, because you run the risk of diluting your developer down a little bit too much. And we know we need that amount in there to give us that lift. And also we can put H screen directly into our H bleach, at least 3 to 5 pumps before we do a full head bleach application is great. So timing. When we, oh no, sorry, I've already done that. Home care, skip one. So home care, it's important too that we back up the work that we've done. Obviously, we talked about this a little bit when we did our Olaplex versus H milk. Obviously, our go-tos in the salon when we're recommending home care after we've done a lightening service we've got our H Blonde shampoo back in stock. Has everyone used H Blonde shampoo? Yeah. No, it's really good, Rose. It's great. It's probably one of the better. Does everyone like it before I tell everyone how good it is? Yeah, it's good. Phoebe's, yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't feel, sometimes when you use a blonde toning shampoo or any color toning shampoo, the hair gets filled. Yeah, Jackie's just written it's the best. That's great. Thanks, Jackie. It's actually really less straw-like. You know, when you use some of the colored shampoos, the hair feels really bad afterwards because they've really opened the cuticle. They're so alkaline to let that color in that the hair feels really, really bad. H Blonde, I don't really get that over roughed up feeling. The other thing is it actually really works. So I stuck it on a piece of hair that was pale yellow and did that and silver still so I could see what tonal quality I had with both the men's shampoo and the H Blonde shampoo. So both will tone hair. One is more of a violet based shampoo where the other's more of like a cooler blue, like a, when I say blue base, I don't mean blue base, but it doesn't grab or tone as much. So silver still is designed to use more frequently on natural grey hair to counteract any yellow. So you don't have the ability of the product, or it hasn't got the ability of the product to overbuild up. Whereas H Blonde, if you use it consecutively all the time, yes, your hair is going to get violeter and violeter and violeter as you use it. So it's really important that we make sure that when we're recommending H Blonde to someone as a home care shampoo for home toning, that we tell them how to use it based on what we've done to them, what their porosity is like in their hair. We know how much it's going to grab, how much it's going to wash out. Traditionally, if they're shampooing their hair only twice a week, I'd probably get them to use once a fortnight, or else they're going to start to overtone their hair pretty bad. Unless they want that look, then, you know, knock yourself out, go for it. 2 to 5 minutes is heaps. I find 2 minutes is ample when you've already got really blonde hair. We use a H Blonde at the basin to tone a lot with because it doesn't need a toner. It just might need just a very light clean out, and then it can obviously turn into a retail home sale for you as well. Then we have our rebuilding bath and mask. This has got the most protein in it, so the most reconstructive ability. So when we've done highlights or full head bleaches, that's the one to go to for that. It doesn't mean your client has to use it forever because it does build up in the hair. They might want to do a course of rebuilding and then switch over to color protection after that, or moisturizing, and then go back to rebuilding. How color protection works, and I think this is pretty understated as a product, it's got equal amounts of protein and moisture. Okay, so it's really good for highlights that, you know, aren't over processed. They're in good condition, but you want to give them a bit of protein and a bit of moisture. The reason being it has equal parts is so for clients that are having permanent colors or colors that deposit, and you're doing high fashion colors, hair color lasts when it's strong, but also when the cuticles close down. So that's where the moisture comes into it. So color protects a really good one. It's not just for your coppers and your reds. It's also color protecting the hair as well. Okay, so he's a good one to do. And then we've got our H Milk that you can actually make with your H Milk drops, colored conditioners for your clients. Does anyone do this in salon yet? Have you gone to that point? Yeah. Yeah, cool. So for those who have, that's great. For those who haven't, you can actually order in some amber glass jars to follow through with the Oway fill. And you can even choose which lids you get now. You can get aluminium lids as well, which is really good, or else they'll come with a plastic lid. You can get different amounts. You get 100 ml, 150, 200 gram jars as well. Price-wise, you will need to price this according to how much, you know, a traditional color mask would sell basis on what you're doing. But H Milk is a treatment, okay? It's not just another conditioner. So when you sell a colored conditioner to a client to take home, they're not using it every time either. They use it like they would the H Blonde shampoo, depending on how often they used it. They might only use it when they want to refresh their color up when they're going out to an event. So they might only use it once or twice a month even. And it is a treatment and you can leave it on for a good 10 minutes. Once that's color enhanced and you've matched up their color using that fabulous chart that I've made. So you might have done a lilac, and then it's giving you the mix in here of how to make a lilac. It is very visual. That's the benefit we've got with H Milk drops is you can see what you're doing, which is really good. And And the H milk is a good product to use because it's a white color. If you start to mix colors in with, say, like the moisture mask being a yellow color, it's just going to be really weird. You're not going to get the color you want. Everything's going to look just different. So you need like a cleaner color to start with. And then, yeah, you can personalize them conditioners for them, which is a really, really good sales point for you guys to be able to do that. And it's just a matter of getting those jars in, and then they can bring their jar back and you can refill it for them as well. So add the cost of the jar in, and then take, you know, your 20% off or 10% off when they rebring their jar back to get their take home color done. And so I'd use advantage of that. We retail a lot of those. It's great because you can customize them. It's really good. It's good to be able to have the option to do that as well. I think because you haven't seen these toning charts, these might be a good tool. I mean, for those who are doing a lot of blondes in the salon, after we've gone through the steps of, you know, lifting to the right level, making sure that, you know, if we want a cool blonde, we've got the hair light enough to be able to do that. Or if we lift up and we've got a level 10 and it's got pale yellow on it, we need to go in with a level toner to do that, whether it's a little bit lighter with ash or a 10.1 is obviously going to really neutralize that, but it will actually give you a little bit of a darker result. This might be good because you'll be able to make a few more lighter violet toners as well, because the violet next to the ash is what gives the blonde that soft, pretty look and not that heavy, flattened look, if that makes sense. And a lot of pictures that you see from Instagram and the clients are showing you, they've got that really light color, and you know it's got a tone in it. It's also got a swipe left filter that's gone across it as well from Snapchat or something. So it's really hard for us to create the exact tone. We're working with a 3D substance here. It's not just a piece of paper that we can put a bit of color on. So it's really important that we know how to remove the pigment, choosing the correct developer to give us the level of lift we need. And it's great that all you guys are using 30 and 40 volt with H-Bleach successfully, and you're not over processing hair because you're not putting it on the wrong hair to do that, which is awesome. The hair still feels amazing, but we need to get that pigment out so we can go in, especially when we're fashion toning or when we want to create those light looks. And that was the main reason why I wanted to formulate this list, is because I love toning with violet. Violet's a beautiful color, and to be able to do that and have these mixes is really good. And beige, I love beige. If in doubt, use a 3-1. 3-1s are great to tone with. You've got enough gold in there to fill all your white bits. So when the ash kicks in, you don't flatten out the white bits and only make the gold bits look even worse. So 3-1's a really beautiful toner to make, and you can do a 10-3-1 and an 11-3-1 simply by mixing 0.0 with it. So you're not toning everyone to a level 9 just to use beige. And you can do ash beige by mixing you know, your 3-1s with your 11.17s and your 10.1s as well. So I hope that helps. This will give you a bit of an indication on how to get some more of those toning charts. Just double check your emails, but I'm sure, I'm just going to make a note of you guys who's on, just to make sure I don't miss anyone with these charts. Writing everyone's names down.
I just checked my emails. I found mine.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, Phoebe. I'm so glad you're using it. It went out how long ago?
Yeah, I'm so glad I've looked at
it. Yeah. And look, honestly, and it's not there to tell you. It's not there to tell you what to do. It's just there to help you and give you a guide. Purely based on the fact that we don't have a section in on a color chart that has those toners already done. If I was doing a color chart, I would actually have all these premixes done, simply because hairdressers, we're very visual and we want to look at something, and we look at a color on a color chart and we go, that looks nice. You know, it's hair dye on a piece of synthetic, right? It's nothing to do with our industry whatsoever. It's just a guide for you guys to know kind of what's going to be in it. A real true to tone swatch is what this is. Okay, it's like hours of work putting something on something and making sure it works, because if it doesn't work, it's awful. That's why when you start using H-Melt with these cool toners and you start adding authentic chestnut, you know, it's going to make your color cooler, because it's a cool color. It's not a warm, it's not chestnut. You think, oh, chestnut, nice and rich. It's not rich at all. It's a very, very cool color, but it's awesome if you want to make a taupe, which is really cool, really cool. I mean, not forever, but as a temporary color. So that's really important to know. And it's just using your brand for a little while to know what you're gonna achieve. So this is purely an educated, trialed number system to give you guys an idea of, okay, you know what, I wouldn't mind making an ash beige. Let's see what, but just remember, ash, even though it's got gold in it, your predominant pigment's ash. Okay, you're going to be 2 parts ash to 1 part beige. So it still is a cool color, but beige is not a warm color either, or it kind of sits in the middle. So doing an ash beige, it just means that if you've got a client that wants a cool color, but you know a little bit of gold in there is going to help even it out. It's going to help you give that little bit of control when you tone as well, which means you can leave your toner on for longer, which means you get longer out of it. And then you can make them the beige toner in the HML and send them home with 7 units of retail. It's going to be great. So that's kind of it. I just wanted to cover the basic rundown of, what happens when you lighten hair, the importance of choosing the correct levels, and then the tools you've got to tone with, which developers to use, not to get heat bump, what's in them, and then obviously these toning charts will be a good help. So Phoebe, you've got yours, so I'll cross yours out. Did anyone else find theirs? No? No, that's right. I'll resend them out, and you can print them out and have a go. You haven't got one, Jackie?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute.
That's right.
No, I haven't got one. I'm just wondering if they might have gone, Nat, would they have gone to Eve?
Yeah, could have. Yeah, definitely, probably.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll hunt that one down. Thank you.
That's all right. But there'll be a good tool for you to use. Cool.
Definitely.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions on toning, or if they've done a beautiful toning formula and want to share it? Oh, Rose, yeah.
Okay, this is more of a HMilk question.
Yeah, go for it.
For Melburnians, how do you get it out?
You can't.
I really struggle.
Yeah.
Is there any tricks to it?
Well, it's not ergonomically. I mean, it would be amazing if HMilk came in a jar, because then you could just drink it out, but it doesn't, unfortunately. So it's okay to pump it, but in colder climates, it gets a little bit stiffer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and so it takes about a minute, 60 seconds for the pump to go back up to be able to do another pump.
Yeah, okay, because the product's cold there. Okay. Are you finding that too, Nathaniel?
Do you have any tricks, Nathaniel?
Yeah, you could.
No,
what I would do, no, it's like, what do you do with yours?
What we've been doing is actually just upending it and putting in something else.
Yeah.
So we'll pump it until it sort of stops coming out, and then we'll have put it into a jar, a treasure jar that we've got left over.
Yeah. What I might do is I might start an Oway petition globally for HMilk. Well, it's not a bad idea though. We might need to do that, to put it into a glass jar. So when you've got one of your mask back-facing jars, the 500 ml jars that your masks come in, when you get a free one of those, instead of turning it into a plant pot or whatever you turn it into, when your HMilk comes and it's a little bit stiff, run the bottle under some warm water. That's going to lift the temperature of the product, so it's smoother to come out. Take out the nozzle and just get it out, okay, or pump as much out as you can. Then if you leave it sitting upside down overnight, the product will actually go to the bottom of the jar. Then when you pull the pump out, you tap a bit more out. You might need to do that over a couple of days. To the last bit, you can stick your finger in there and get it all out and decanter it into a jar, and then just use a spoon or one of the wooden spatulas or your brush that you're using to get the HMilk out. But yeah, it's a valid point. Ergonomically, it's the only problem I have with HMilk is getting it out of the bottle. Other than that, I love it. But if that's the only problem we got, it's not a bad one to have. But I hear you, when you're in a hurry, it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. So get it out first is probably the best thing to do. Yeah. Cool. Lovely. Anyone else have any questions on or if they've done a beautiful toner that they want to share a recipe with, or they have a go-to? apart from 1117, I don't want to hear anyone say they use 1117 all the time. That's what I did this toning sheet for, so to make you stop using 1117.
I use the 3-1s a lot.
You do use the 3-1s? Why do you go for those?
I think I just like them. I think they just go softer, more neutral result instead
Yeah.
of it being too ash or too warm. I find that most people are pretty keen on that.
Yeah, Rose just said she uses the 3-1s a lot as well. Do you find the
Yeah.
3-1s, they're still a cool color though, aren't they? They're not too warm.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
They're still they're still quite a ash color, but they just, I don't know, there's just some softness about it.
Yeah, it's that little bit of gold. So just remember, even though it's a 3-1, it still is a cool color, not too gold when you're toning with it. So when you've mixed ash and beige together, it's an ash beige, not a beige ash. Yeah, when you're toning. Don't think you go. If you do want to warm it up, or you want to make more of a golden beige, that's where you would use, say, half 10.3, half 10.1, or 60% 10.3 and 40% 10.1. That's going to give you more of a golden beige on your lighter levels, because obviously blue is a stronger pigment than gold. Okay, so obviously the blue is going to swamp the gold out, but mixing gold in with some of your toners, if anything, 10.3 and 0.0 mixed together is amazing. It's like a really beautiful champagne-y gold color. It's really pretty. Yeah. So that over the top of already really blonde hair is a nice toner to use when you just want to take the edge off it, or make more of a 10.0 and then put a bit of 10.3 in it. So you're just warming up that cream a little bit. So it's more of like a neutral. It's really, really beautiful. Yeah. But I love the 3-1s because you get a bit of correction as they tone, which is really nice. Yeah. Do you make a 10.3-1 as well by 0.0?
Yeah, usually I do.
Yeah.
I do. I just find it doesn't go quite as, like, you know how you just get that really grabby kind of ash sometimes on some. I mean, I'm in an area where there's lots of people that go to the beach a shitload, so there's quite a bit of, like, and they all want to be blonde. So there's blonde and sun damage, and we've got it all happening. And I just find that it helps with the overtoning.
Yeah,
I guess
as limits the overtoning. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get those, blue grabby weird bits because I've had my gold to fill.
Yeah. So when the hair shaft is uneven and you've got more porosity here and less there, and it helps even that out. Yeah. 3-1s are awesome. Even adding a percentage of your 3-1, say you're doing an 11.17 and you just want that underlying control, you can add. You'll do your mix to make. Well, it's already on that chart that you'll see. To get that, and it will just help and stop that violet from being too strong as well. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Awesome. I'm really glad that you're using it the right way, which is awesome. Cool. There is no wrong way, by the way. There's just lots of right ways, so that's cool. Cool. Awesome. So everyone else, no more questions? Everyone's cool with today's session? Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. There's only one more to go tomorrow to see this ugly head again. And then you'll have a whole 6 under your belt, which is cool. So I wish you all an awesome day, and I'll see you tomorrow if you're on. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. See you later.